So it's not for kids.
Anything new happening in life lately?
Exciting things. I've been watching Andor.
Fuck you,
Yeah.
I want to watch Andor.
That's crazy. The conspiracy with Obi-Wan.
The conspiracy with Obi-Wan. I thought you were going to say it was a conspiracy with those VFX React guys to like make Andor algorithmically relevant again, that everyone is suddenly like watching it who didn't watch it the first time.
I think that's what happened, yeah. They edited into the fabric of reality the desire for Andor.
What actually made you suddenly want to watch Andor? I have to know.
Oh, I didn't actually watch it.
Oh.
I just thought that if I didn't say I was watching it, that you would be mad at me and you'd bully me like every other human being I've talked to.
I still haven't watched it, so.
You know what the crazy thing is?
What?
It's actually bad grammar.
Yeah.
It's pronounced Ador because it's a consonant. Read your facts, people. They didn't even get the name of the movie right.
What is this bit?
How could it be any good is what I'm saying.
So
when they can't even get the title right.
Essentially what you're saying is you either have and or have not watched Andor, the Star Wars TV series on Disney+.
Yeah, there's only two kinds of people in this world. Doors who have and doors who have not. Yeah, this is nothing, right?
Welcome to Shelf Stable.
Welcome to Shelf Stable. This is a podcast where we talk about board games, specifically board games that have stood the test of time. I'm your host, Kenny Katayama.
And I'm your other host, Tom Bowers. Today, our featured topic is 5 games for Doomsday, which apparently doesn't mean the same thing as 5 games that you're going to take with you on a desert island.
This is not tied to, related to, in association with the YouTube channel 5 Games for Doomsday, which is also a YouTube channel related to board games. Literally, Thomas Bowers saw the name for that channel and was like, that'd be a good topic. He's never consumed any of their media.
I'm sorry, 5 Games for Doomsday. If you're out there listening, and you're like, oh, they're talking about me? No, I'm talking about what I thought your concept was, which is like the 5 games that you would take with you in a house fire.
I mean, listen, I've watched a lot of 5 Games for Doomsday videos. I've never listened to the podcast, but maybe like one of their early pieces of content is that. I haven't seen their whole catalog, but nothing that I've consumed relates to it in any way.
It's interesting they're called 5 Games for Doomsday, because if they called themselves 5 games that you'd bring with you to a deserted island, it's an open and shut case. Because I have the list right here, and this is an objective list. If you're going to a deserted island and you're going to be stuck on that island, you need to bring with you these 5 games: Spirit Island, Forbidden Island, Survive the Island, Dinosaur Island, and Robinson Crusoe.
Wouldn't you want something that doesn't remind you that you're stuck on an island?
No, because they're all about like how you get around an island. So like they could teach you something.
You're thinking like utilitarian, like these are going to help you. Okay.
Yeah, I think Dinosaur Island is going to be really big in particular.
All right, well, we're kind of getting the topic here. Let's talk about some of the games we've played. Kenny, what have you been playing?
My line.
Yeah, well, if you're not going to say it, I'm going to say it. So.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Before we get into the main topic, what some of the stuff we've been playing recently, what is that? What is that for you, Kenny?
Millennium Blades from 2016, Dr. Brad Talton Jr., level 99 games. Millennium Blades is a game we just talked about last episode.
Hell yeah.
And some of the interest has been fresh in our minds. I got to play Millennium Blades in a 2-player head-to-head variant. I think that's the first time I've played it 2-player, or maybe the second time. For refreshers, or if you didn't listen to last week, Millennium Blades is a metatextual game about a CCG anime card game. You're not actually playing Magic, you're playing the meta of Magic, in the sense that like you're going to be opening booster packs, selling cards on the secondary market, buying cards, doing like card fusions, kind of like you would do in a Yu-Gi-Oh anime, putting together a collection and a deck.
Yeah, I like what you said last time. You play as Yugi, But you're not actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that when you assemble this deck, you do kind of play a tournament, but you're not playing like a game of Magic or a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You are playing the beats of that tournament, what the most important things are that happened in that tournament, and those are going to score you reputation points, essentially. It kind of plays out like Fantasy Realms, except if people had like ways to interact with each other's combos in Fantasy Realms. So you take turns playing the cards, and sometimes they might screw with what your opponents are doing. I had a hoot, and the Taylor who I showed this to really, really enjoyed it too. To kind of summarize how our games played out, the first round, I put together a deck that relied on flipping my own things. Taylor, on the other hand, built a deck that was entirely about doing these clashes. These clashes are like contests of sort. And it turns out that when all your shit is flipped, you're probably not really good at clashes. So she kind of won that rock, paper, scissors. She pulled a card that I can only describe as stupid busted in the context of what she was doing. And I got to respect her. Basically, the card said, whenever you do a clash, whether you win or lose, you're considered to be winning, even if the other person wins. And I'm like, okay. So
even if they win, not like just a you win ties thing.
Yeah, it's not a you win ties. It's like, if I win, she still wins. We were both considered winning. So it was cool for her to like find that exploit and build around it.
Is it like considered winning for the sake of card effects? Like there's just, or is it just zero
for the sake of card effects?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. No, it's not winning the round. It's like winning these clashes, these specific like battles.
Oh,
that happen.
That now, the first time you mentioned it, I was like, what? And now I'm like, okay, wait.
No, it's a specific mechanism in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, we go to the second round. So I crack open a bunch of packs and I'm like, oh, look at this, all this anti-clash tech. I build this deck that's functionally like an anti-clash kind of affinity deck. And Taylor's like, nah, I don't have any of that stuff anymore. We go into the second round and she literally did the anime like, I knew you would try to build against me. That's why I built entirely around not having to do clashes. And get this shit, her deck was a better version of my deck from the first round. Not only are you teching for something that doesn't exist anymore, but on top of that, I'm like adding insult to injury by playing the deck that you tried to do the first round. Kudos to her. It was very well executed, and yeah, she deserves the W. It was a delight. I mean, I think this game lives on the fact that it's real time. We briefly talked about this, but last time you had mentioned, Tom, that you played this turn-based. And I cannot imagine doing that. That sounds so awful. The game really rides on the fact that you're scrambling for the center, cracking open booster packs in real time, and you only have like 15, 20 minutes to do this altogether. That's the real joy of it. I think you summarized it really well. It's like early Magic the Gathering tournaments where people were like running around to vendors trying to open packs right before they went and did the tournament kind of thing.
This is already on my like need to play it again list, basically. Because, yeah, the description you gave of it last time had me like,
Like a Minecraft villager?
Yeah, I was like,
I'm glad we got our Minecraft quota in early here. I was a little worried. Anyway, that was Millennium Blades from 2016. Good game.
Kenny, I recently got to play Cathedral from 1979, apparently, which I actually never would have guessed that this game is that old.
I'm pretty sure Cathedrals have been around earlier than 1979. Are you sure about that?
No, apparently not.
I think they were around in the Middle Ages, too.
No, that sounds fake. So this is designed by a guy named Robert P. Moore, and as far as I can tell, according to his Board Game Geek profile, this is pretty much the only game that he was interested in making. Some sort of Australian Air Force pilot. Actually, I'm not sure if it's Australian or British, but anyway, he'd fly over the Christchurch Cathedral. Looking down at it, felt that it looked like a puzzle or something. And I'm looking at a couple aerial pictures, and there is some that does make it look like the cathedral's like sitting on a grid, a chess-like grid. What does this game play like? Well, if you've played like Blocus, it's very similar. It's another one of these Go-like games that, you know, I don't think it reaches the depths of Go, but it has its own abstract flavor that I think holds up. I actually had no idea this game was as old as it is. I thought this came out more recently and it was sort of like done up to look old, because I think it's like you can still kind of find it in print here and there. Apparently, according to the forums, Tom Lehmann has claimed that he solved this game. Funnily enough.
Just randomly, he just posted, or was it like...
Well, someone posted about Tom Lehmann saying this on a... if you look at his rating for the game, he rates it a 7.5, and he says, if you use my starting variant, where the first player places a piece, the second player places a piece, and the neutral starting Cathedral... and then you just alternate.
This is how you know Tom Lehmann's a pervert, right?
Right,
like a board game pervert. I mean, it's only a pervert could have made Race for the Galaxy anyway. So
right. And then he said, otherwise I rate it as a 2 because apparently there's a sequence that trivially allows the first player to win, no matter how the Cathedral is initially placed. But he didn't want to actually say what it was because he wanted people to be able to figure it out for themselves. But he demonstrated it at a convention, beating, I guess, the world's best Cathedral player or something like 10 times in a row.
Whoa,
so it's
wow.
like just something like that, which is like, it's just wild. Imagine, I guess, if you dedicated your life to chess and then someone rolls up like, guess what? White wins every time. Let me show you. Like, you know, that would be pretty funny. Allegedly, this is what's going on. So I'm curious now to try the Tom Lehmann variant. And I'm delayed to find out that exists. But what should I say about this game? I don't know. If you like Blocus, you probably like this one. It doesn't overstay its welcome, but it also doesn't, I don't know, get me hyped to go back to the game store. But I'm very impressed mostly that this game is like 40 years old. It didn't feel that way at all, which is going to be a stark contrast to the game that I talk about next. So before we talk about that, speaking of Tom Lehmann, Kenny.
Yeah, speaking of Tom Lehmann, I actually had Race for the Galaxy for my next game. 2007 by Tom Lehmann, Rio Grande Games. So to be clear, Cathedral was designed by Robert Moore. Race for the Galaxy is designed by the aforementioned Tom Lehmann. After multiple sessions of jerking off to whether or not this game is solved or not, I will say, Race... We got to give credit where credit's due. This is like the game that most often comes up as like, I have played X games of Race for the Galaxy and it's still fun to me. There's gotta be something about that. From what I understand, like Tom Lehmann tested the hell out of this game. And his philosophy is always like, if it's not enjoyable after doing 100 testing sessions, then you have to like improve on it. And you can kind of feel that. This game has layers. The reason I'm bringing up Race is because I think in the last 2 weeks, I've played 10, 11 games of Race. And like, granted, it's a short game. It's pretty easy to play those games. But like, that's a lot for me. People will make fun of me for the sheer speed with which I will go great next and move on to the next game. So the fact that I'm coming back to something is pretty impressive.
The fact that you started a podcast where you talk about games that have stood the test of time, but you're always playing the next thing. It's an interesting dichotomy. You're not playing the newest game, but it's like the newest game that you bought, which is an old game. You know what I mean? Most of the time.
Well, a lot of times I'm not even buying them, right? But
right, yeah.
I think I do definitely appreciate the breadth more than the depth. I know some people enjoy having their one comfort game that they always go back to. I'm definitely in the other camp where like I want to try everything there is out there, anything that piques my interest. I think that's a general common ground that most people that talk about board games for like a hobby have in common. The things that are being made apparent to me while I play more Race is that I'm not very good at it.
I was wondering if you were going to say this about yourself.
I don't think I'm very good at it, but again, that kind of speaks to how good it is of a game and how impressive Tom Lehmann's design chops are. Is that I'm getting pummeled by a bunch of people who have played fewer games than I have, and I'm still like, this is really fun, and I'm coming out of it like, how did you do that? I want to learn. I want to be better. Yeah. And they're like, oh, you do this, this, and this. And I will say that by the most recent game, I have seen improvements. Okay. You look out.
Okay.
This ugly ducking here, ugly ducking is coming coming for the throne.
Watch out.
Things I learned: don't underestimate the marginal value you can do from your role selection versus doing the thing you need to do. I think that was a big epiphany for me. I'm always like, oh, if I don't get to develop this turn, that really screws me because I need to get this development card on the board, for example. But if you pick develop and everyone develops and the other people get a better card than you, it doesn't matter that that card's important to you. You have just either created a neutral space or improved other people's boards more than yours. You're better off doing an action that is less impactful to you, but impacts you and not others, if that makes sense. Taylor is really, really good at this game. I think she's been undefeated in every game that I've played with her, and she's won every game that I've seen that she's played.
That makes me that much more mad that I lost by 2 points, I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, she's really, really good. And I think that's one thing I've noticed is she really pays attention to what other people are doing. Since I've been paying more attention, I've definitely seen better results. So that was one thing I learned. The other thing is like, you don't want to go down to 0 cards if you can avoid it, especially in the early game. Playing a little bit more conservatively to set yourself up so you can get a card engine going or something like that. I think those are the 2 things I learned. Pay attention to what people are doing and try to set up a flow of cards and don't just like blow your load.
It'll be interesting to see how it evolves next when everyone's playing this and everyone's starting to get like really good.
Yeah. I'm going to come back here like Race for the Galaxy update. Always blow your load. Don't pay attention to others.
It'd be funny if it's like everyone's like paying super attention to each other and then you're just like, well, he thinks that I'm going to develop, but I'm not going to develop because he's going to develop. If he doesn't, because he's going to think that I'm going to develop this turn, which would mean that he's going to produce. But if he produces, then I need to be exploring. And if I explore, it just like, it'd be funny if it gets to like a third layer. So you're reaching a point though where every round of Race for the Galaxy is like that an episode of Death Note.
We're all eating potato chips.
That's what it's about. So I alluded to this already. I recently played Montage. This game is from 1973 and designed by Joli, Quentin, Kansil, and sort of re-implemented, updated, redesigned a little bit, I think, by Rick Soued. And I'm really sorry if I'm not saying these names right.
Soued or Soued?
Soued?
Joli got canceled. Rick got sued.
Yeah. The version that we had was published by Gryphon Games, which is now Eagle Gryphon. This game caught my eye at the library. The player count said it was 4. Not 2 to 4. 4. It's like, you can only play this with exactly 4 people, which I found intriguing in its own right. And then it also had a retro 70s look to it. As far as I know, the Gryphon Games version was not printed in the 70s. So this game is weird on many levels, but also like not that weird when you break it down. The 4 players create teams of 2 where each team is trying to create crossword clues for their other teammate that are just targeted or difficult enough for their teammate to get it and buzz in, essentially, before the opponent team players buzz in. But if both of the opponent team players buzz in, they basically get to steal the guess out from under you and potentially score the word. The added layer to that is that there are no letter tiles like you would associate with Scrabble. Oh, did I mention this is a word game? It's almost
we
like
should probably
Scrabble.
start there, yeah.
Yeah. Except that the letter tiles are not letter tiles. They're just circular pieces that are one of 5 colors. And each color represents 5 letters. Think like the 9-digit keypad on your phone, how like every number is a different set, right? But except it's just 5 colors. That's what's going on. And so when you give a clue and your teammate and opponents are getting that chance to buzz in, it was fascinating to try this out. But I was playing with you and we had 2 friends that were there that game night, and you and your teammate both were like we are not capable of drumming up the brain power for this tonight. Which I was like, that's fair. And so it didn't get very far.
I think it's more than just that. It's like, we could drum up the game power, but like, what are we doing?
To what end? Yeah.
Like, this isn't fun. This is not. It's not even fun as like an exam. It's like, I just like it completely scratched an itch that nobody had, in my opinion.
It was so convoluted. I'm amazed. I'm very, very impressed to whoever wrote this rule sheet. And I'm not saying rule sheet. It's only like, well, it's like a trifold. So I guess it's like 6 pages long. But somehow it made sense on one read through, which is very impressive for how nonsensical that this game probably sounds as I'm describing it right now.
I will give Montage credit in that it is like conceptually different from other things.
You've never played a game like this, right?
Like you've never played a game like this. Yeah. That being said, it's probably for a good reason.
Yeah. The most like inflexible player count imaginable. The most heady, like, rules of all time. On top of the fact that this only works in languages that are using the Roman alphabet, I cannot see this being reimagined with success. For example, with like all 46 hiragana characters in Japanese.
It's like right? Worse than that though. It's like you have to think of an English word and it has to be exactly 5 letters long, and the first letter has to be an X, a T, a U, or a Z, and the fourth letter has to be a J, an M, a P, or an O, And it's like, those are like completely unintuitive. They're not like natural blocks of letters. And you're sitting there like coming up with a word, and then you have to give a hint, and the hint has to be 4 words or less. And then your opponent, based on that hint, has to figure out what the word is. Like, it's just such an obtuse, unfun thing.
The 5 layers of abstraction is just
this
beautiful.
Gets the Tongiaki Award of 2025 in my opinion.
I could see this being really fun for 4 people for a polycule of 4 people where they're all really, really into Wordle. Like they cannot stop playing Wordle and Wordle-like games.
That's where I disagree with you. I think that people who like word games wouldn't like this game. Because it's not really a word game. It needs
to be like a polycule for like whoever is writing the crosswords at the New York Times. Can we agree on that?
It's not a word game in the traditional sense where you're trying to form a word via letters. It's a word game in the sense that you have like random groupings of letters that it could possibly be, and you try to figure out which permutation it is. It's like a word game for people who are trying to decipher the whatever code from World War II. Like
the Enigma code?
The Enigma code in like real time.
I'm amazed that this got like reprinted, because like the rule sheet says something like, oh, this was this guy's like, most interesting design. It didn't even say opus. Like his best design. It just said his most interesting or something. The highest ranked game he had is ranked 5,331. It's called What's My Word? And then more notably, he has the rank 14,000th game, Marrakesh, which I think is really funny.
Not to be confused with the other Marrakesh.
The like rank 200 something game, Marrakesh. Yeah.
I mean, that being said, their designs from the 70s. There's not a lot of stuff that people still play from the 70s. So like, I'm not going to bash it too hard for being his best work amongst a bunch of other works that nobody remembers, That, like, the thing I'm more questioning is like, why did Gryphon Games feel compelled to reprint this?
Yeah, exactly.
And if they felt compelled, why didn't they take the core of what was interesting and retool it for a more modern design? The same way that like Restoration Games does.
Yeah.
It has all the trappings of an old design. There's like skip a turn mechanics. There's the fact that like you have all these weird little edge cases for things, even though it seems like a relatively straightforward game to play at the beginning. If you do a word that only has 1 starting word versus 2, and then there's like this weird area control thing, and if you hit 10, then you take this area and you can move on. And like, there's all these like things that seem overly complex for what is functionally a family word matching game.
Yeah, that Like easily, it's the most. I don't know. I feel like I might be doing like almost like a disservice or some sort of like disrespect to like people that really know these 70s designers, because like I've not done, you know, my reading perhaps, and I wasn't alive back then to really appreciate kind of like how hard they might have had it in the landscape they were playing in. What is most fascinating is that this basically got reprinted without seemingly any serious change to the rules or the concept. I could almost see like the parts of this working. I kind of like the buzzing in aspect of it. It was an interesting mechanic where it's like your teammate could buzz in, but if both of your opponents buzz in before your teammate does, they get a chance to steal. It doesn't work here as structurally, but I could see a game with maybe even actual buzzers utilizing this concept.
Anyway, I don't want to talk any more about Montage.
Okay, I don't know how to retool that to make it like work in a way that's scalable and elegant, but there's something there. That's all I'm saying.
Does Montage from 1973.
100 games to play before you die.
All right, Kenny, it's the 100 games before you die. This is the part of the podcast where we talk about the games on your list of games that are 100 of them, and before you turn 100 years old, you need to play every single one of these or else you die. And game number 35 is
Montage
Dominion.
from 1973. Oh,
no,
sorry.
actually, game number 35 is Dominion from 2008.
Hell yeah.
By Donald X. Vaccarino and published by Rio Grande.
It's no secret to the cast. I love Dominion. Dominion is one of my all-time favorite games. The reason it's on the list is not because it's one of my favorites, but because I think it's a really good representation of deck building. Most folks will not need a debrief on deck building, but I'll give a brief one anyway. You buy cards. Those cards go into your deck and get shuffled to make your deck even stronger so you can buy even better cards until eventually you're buying points. The idea being that you're trying to build the most efficient engine at the table. You're all given the same set of tools, and it's up to you to figure out the puzzle of how to tool it better than everyone else. I think that Dominion distills deck building to its core while also not having really had any issues standing up to any of the various multitudes of deck building games that have come out since. Oh, why didn't you have X deck building game on the list instead? Why didn't you have this one? I feel like most games either haven't veered too far off of the Dominion model, or have done so in less interesting ways, or are just a completely different beast. I think Dominion still stands. It's one of those rare games, kind of like Magic the Gathering, where even though it was the OG, it's still the GG.
Like it's not like Citizen Kane, where you have to like argue with people about why it was good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here's why I think Dominion holds up. The game is fixed. I think people say that's like the part that's not fun is like, oh, you start the game, you already know everything that's out there. But that's what's interesting, right? You're trying to evaluate the board and your opponents and figure out what's going to lead you to victory, and then you play it out. You get your 10 options of things to build around, and then boom, go.
Well, and I'd even say it's like kind of a smart design that the market is it's a set in stone thing. Because your deck is going to generate all of the randomness that you need.
Exactly. Like deck building games are already by definition extremely random. I think people underestimate even like tiny things like having copper in your starting hand, having the 3/4 versus having the 5/2. Like that's a very significant difference and sometimes a significant advantage. You don't need to add extra randomness on top of that of like, oh, I'll just buy this crappy card that came out in the river, and now it's your turn, and a super good card came out that I could have afforded. Like, that sucks. It sucks when that happens, and I think that's what makes a lot of other deck building games not really competitive, is that
looking at you, Ascension.
There's just so much randomness. Like, Ascension is fun, don't get me wrong. I enjoy playing Ascension, but Ascension to me feels like a beer and pretzels game, whereas Dominion is like a game I can study, I guess. I also appreciate that because there's not like a theme per se, it's a rather themeless game, which is also, again, some people will like that and some people won't.
It's all about expanding your dominion, Kenny. It's in the name.
It really focuses on what is the intent or purpose behind this card that we're injecting into this ecosystem. I feel like every card in Dominion is intentional. You know, not every card is equal. I will say there are some duds and there are some cards that they had an intent, but they, don't execute on them effectively. But you can pick up a set of cards or a card in Dominion and feel like, I understand what this does for the ecosystem. And I think that's really cool. You don't have a lot of the chaff that you have in a lot of other games because you're being thrown a million cards in your direction. Like, you're only going to see 10 of them. And so there's an intentionality behind a lot of those. If you've never played a deck building game, do yourself a service and try one. There are other games that I recommend. The Valley of Kings that we played recently is pretty good as a first experience. I did play it with somebody who had never played deck building games, and they had a good time with it. Quest for El Dorado, even though it's not a personal fave of mine, I think it's a really great introduction to deck building too. Crazy for me to say Kinesia is not a personal favorite of mine, but...
Well, I like Dominion a lot. I mean, it was in my collection when I first started getting into this hobby, and it's still there. And I don't think it's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. It's amazing how many people you can introduce this game to. It just does so many things so smartly, and it's so approachable.
Good game. Dominion, 2008. Check it out.
All right. Well, enough of that bullshit. Time to get into the real meat and potatoes of this podcast. That's right, the part of the show where we talk about whatever the fuck we decided to come up with last week under the false presumption that it had anything to do with the title of a podcast that we've never watched. What did you come up with when you heard this premise? Because what did you think I meant?
I think I understood what you were saying. I think you were saying it's the apocalypse.
Yeah.
What are the 5 games that you bring along with you to the shelter or whatever?
Right. The zombies are coming. You have...
Can we not do zombies? I'm so exhausted by zombies. Can we do I don't know.
The AI is taking
there we
over.
go. The AI is here.
You're about to be thrown into your human... meat factory prison cell to sustain the endless hunger of the machine that has taken over.
You know what's funny? When I was growing up, I thought that the every human has enough electricity to charge a 9-volt battery. Like, I thought that was real.
Oh, the Matrix?
Yeah, I thought that that was based on some actual facts or something.
Is it? Yeah, okay. I don't think we have time to unpack that one.
I was a teenager. Cut me some slack,
Yeah, that's fair. No, that's fair. You're grabbing 5 games, Kenny. What 5 games are you bringing?
I had a different use case for each of my games. I wanted to make sure that if I only have 5, here's what they're going to touch on kind of thing to make it a diverse.
Did your wife and family survive?
I think it's person neutral. It's it's neutral to whoever's with you.
Okay, you just imagined there would be ghosts,
Not ghosts, but just other survivors.
Okay.
But that is the thing. I didn't want to make them completely impenetrable games, but I also was a little bit more along the lines of it's okay if they're complicated. Because you're in a Doomsday scenario and that's all you've got. So you could kind of force somebody to go past what usually, because you have all that time to learn the game,
We're board gamers because we're thinking okay, in a nuclear apocalypse, no one will have anywhere to go. So they have to play games with us now. So they might as well be the complicated ones because they will literally have to learn the rules to it or go insane.
If they don't get killed by the robot overlords, they'll be killed by the having to learn 4.2 game that we're throwing at them.
They're going to add this as content to the next Fallout. There'll be a whole vault where it was there was a rebellion after 2 guys, forced a bunch of the vault survivors to play board games
food
with them.
chain.
Yeah, they that's where it broke them.
We don't go to the food chain vault.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got first?
The first game that came to mind for me was Android Netrunner.
Okay, a consideration for me.
If there's no weight restrictions to the scenario we're in, like I can load up whatever I want, I'm gonna just bring the whole collection.
Okay, let's make it trickier though. So I understand why. Netrunner, game we both love, classic. Game we could play over and over.
Classic.
But if you had to pick 2 decks, a Corp and a Runner deck to bring with you, then what would you do?
I feel like I would go for something that is like NBN Fast Advance with a kill backdoor versus like Wizard with Faust, you know? Something like that. Because like that was like the era where I was playing the most. I think it would be the easiest way to sort of like relive nostalgia, even though it's like probably not the most balanced matchup or whatever, like just the idea of basically having like boom sync.
So Netrunner, anything else you wanted to say about why you picked it that I kind of interrupted on?
I mean, like the same reason that you thought about it. It's just like, that's pretty much the reason we're even like doing this podcast. It's like how we were introduced to each other was over this game. It's literally changed my life, which is a crazy thing to say about anything.
All right, well then I'll go into my first game. So this is the duel game that I have. So this is like everybody else in the compound is dead. It's just you and one other person. Or maybe it's just you and you just play both sides, you know? But, you know, you've either bored to death everybody with your other 4 games or, you know, they got taken and they're already part of the cybernet construct or whatever. For my duel game, I picked Jaipur.
That is a respectable pick.
I picked it because despite me being this, I got to play every other game, you know, kind of person, I never have a moment where I'm like, I don't want to play Jaipur. And so I could see myself continuing to play it. It's one that I've intentionally like stayed away from learning how to be good at because I feel like there's a lot of depth there and I feel like it's enjoyable every time to discover new things and just get a little bit better at it. So
it's weird because like I feel like I don't like this game as much as I used to. It is really good. There's just something to it that makes it feel like too long almost. Like it burns me out faster than I feel like it should.
You could also just do one round and not really care about how it goes kind of thing. But yeah. Yeah,
but like it's ironic to say when I'm talking about like Android Netrunner, which is basically like spreadsheetica.duel.
That's a good way to word it.
Because like Jaipur is not that, but just something about it, like every time I think about opening up Jaipur again, I'm just like I'm gonna have to think. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
And that's not even really true, but I think it's mostly just like it has a very busy setup, and I think that's actually
it is a pain to set up for a 2-player quick game, allegedly.
Yeah.
I think Targi could be a good option here too, though.
Yeah, I could see that. I could almost see Hanami Koji, but
yeah, that
I'm not
too.
entirely sure.
Yeah, there's a number of ones that could fit here. But yeah, that's what I ended up landing on. Just this might be a in the moment thing too. Like I could see myself picking like Lost Cities yesterday or, you know, picking Netrunner 2 days before kind of thing. So it just happens to be where my head's at.
For example.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if that comes up.
Oh, okay.
All right, what's next?
All right, so the second game I put on my list was Brass Lancashire.
Nice.
And I am specifically going to commit to taking Lancashire. Sorry, Birmingham fans.
Yeah, and you're taking it specifically because you're so committed to completing your New Year's resolutions, right? That's the
main thing is that, like, I'm only, I think, 3 games in this year, so I have to get the other 97 done while I'm locked in the vaults.
Thomas Bowers, June 9th, 97 games of Lancashire left to go.
Yeah. We're going to get there, lads.
We're going to do a mid-year New Year's resolution check-in, by the way.
There's going to be some updates potentially, but I mean, the fact is, like, I still, like, I'm just never burnt out on this game. Like, you were just saying Jaipur you never get tired of. This is a game, like, it could be like 1 a.m. Someone's like, Brass Lancashire, and I'm like, fuck, I don't have to work tomorrow. It's for Brass, you know? Like, I'm ready for this game.
That's a good game. I mean, I don't think I'd lean as hard as you, but I am very willing to play this a lot of the time.
I don't know what it is. I could see it ending up in the burnt out pile. Maybe.
That might take a while, though.
Yeah. It would have to like stop delivering, I think, on the feeling like I understood what went wrong if I lost, or I understood what went right if I win, you know? Either that, or there would have to emerge like some line of play that was just like so self-evident and repetitive that I was just like, well, I'm just doing the same thing every time. But
yeah,
I can't really imagine those things happening. But, you know, we still got 97 plays to go to figure that out.
All right, so we flashed forward to just being me and Tom is on the brink of dying. And we're playing Jaipur. So now we go back to present day. And this is like both of our families are still alive.
Okay.
And I wanted to put a party game, a game that could accommodate a lot of people on it. I ended up going with monikers. You know, monikers / time's up / crazy bowl, whatever it's named for you. I think we've talked about monikers in the past on the cast, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but it's basically taboo meets charades. But the fun thing about it is each round you're doing a more and more difficult thing, but you already know what cards are in the available pool. So it becomes easier simultaneously. This game's just a hoot, and it's like a generator of inside jokes. And so I think it would be a beacon of light in a dark doomsday environment.
This is a pretty commendable pick. I wasn't considering a scenario where there was like anyone else's emotions to consider. So this is like really, really solid. In fact, I think monikers is like probably best the second time you play it in the same evening.
I agree.
You know
what
I mean?
Because then people get a feeling for the flow of it.
Right.
All right, what you got next?
All right, number 3, Daybreak. Sorry, new game alert.
So your list is just your top 5 favorite games.
At this moment, yeah, basically. But I mean, like, there's slightly more thought to it than that.
Netrunner, Brass, Lancashire, Daybreak.
What can I say? I'm a consistent guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Daybreak, it's like, I've said this before about it, and I'm sorry that we keep talking about this game that came out like last year on this old games podcast, but like fucking, like Daybreak is nearly solved as a solo experience, and I still really, really like it. And I could basically play that puzzle out by myself if I had to. I think was part of the thought I had, where it was like, I'm in the vault. No one wants to play a game with me. Well, I still can play Daybreak by myself.
That's a good point. Like, I don't have a solo game on my list, or I don't have a game I would want to play solo, I should say. So
yeah, I totally leaned in a direction
oversight.
where it was like, there's not a lot of survivors, and I might just have to literally go
that.
Robinson Crusoe. So this was more in that direction.
Yeah, good catch. I would want to work that in here if I could redo it.
Whose island would you rather be stuck on? Kenny's island, where everyone's family got to come along, or my island, where it's just me?
You're really selling it, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one I have is a filler. So this is a game that has enough depth that you could play it for hours, but also that maybe, you only have time in between loading the nuclear warheads that you're firing at the AI compound or something. This one I kind of scratched my head around, and then I was like, aha, but I remember I can force people to play things that are more complicated because this is all we have left. And so I ended up landing on Cat in the Box, which is, like, granted, kind of a weird pick.
Also a new game alert, technically.
If we're going to bring a trick-taking game, I want it to be one that, like, has layers to it. That and not just layers for the sake of being gimmicky. Like, I feel like there's more to explore. And I feel like I haven't hit that with Cat in the Box yet. I really like how the area control positional aspect plays with the bidding, plays with the trick-taking. And there's a nuance to that, and it makes it, like, juicy, It doesn't feel solved, and it doesn't feel anywhere near solved. Although I'm sure Tom Lehmann is going to send us an email after this episode and be like, actually, I solved it. And, you always pick green. Always pick green for all your cards. That's it. It's solved.
That'd be pretty funny.
Cat in the Box for my filler.
That's a game that I wouldn't describe as a filler personally.
Yeah, I know that's debatable. For some people, that's like a a full game, but I see it as like it's a small box with a cat in it. No, it's a small box, and you could just play around.
Yeah, I like too that it has a unofficial cooperative variant.
Interesting.
Almost, where you are like trying not to paradox maybe as a group, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that that's like a particularly difficult challenge to overcome, but it's interesting if you do make that a goal and see how it changes things. It's like there's even just that, right? It's like got a little something going on.
This seems kind of counterintuitive, but I don't think you'd want to be playing a lot of co-ops when the world is ending.
Arguably, though, you would need, to get people together.
There's an argument to like rally them, but also like that's what you're doing all the time.
Oh, okay. So you're saying, you need to decompress by being at each other's throats.
I guess I'm coming at it from an angle of like we're fighting a common enemy. Maybe it's a Mad Max scenario. Maybe it's not robot overlords. So I think there's a bias coming into play here in terms of me imagining a specific Doomsday scenario.
Yeah, in your Doomsday scenario, we all got to the commune in time. In my Doomsday scenario, I'm trying to rebuild society by introducing people to Daybreak. I guess that's how we came
It's just you, though. You're like talking to yourself in the...
Yeah.
In the
I'm
chamber
just standing up and changing position like, interesting move.
You're like trying to figure out how to reproduce asexually while playing Daybreak.
That would be step one.
All right, what do you got next?
The number 4 is Leav, my favorite game to mention.
It really is just a list of the hits. Now that's what I call Thomas Bowers.
People who've been listening to this podcast, they'll be like, I'm not fucking surprised. This fucking guy, when is he going to shut up about Leav? I'll shut up when someone agrees to play it with me again.
If the episode had been top 5 games I like, how would this list have been different, Tom? Because if that's the case, like, why are we doing this?
Is that not part of it?
I don't know. I think these are not my 5 favorite games.
I don't think these are the 5 games that are actually rated the most highly on my list.
That's fair. Yeah, maybe I'm just yucking your yum. So I apologize.
No, you're good. I mean, like, there's things that like, I mean, the fact is, like, I don't play Netrunner that often anymore. Like, I don't know. I guess you could argue with me about Brass and Daybreak. I haven't even been playing Daybreak that much. I'm just thinking, like, if I if I was stuck with like only 5 games and I just wanted them to be games that I felt like I could play by myself as much as I wanted.
Have you read the what games I would take if my house was on fire post on BGG? It was like really funny. It was like me, an intellectual. I throw my kids to the side, Yes, I have read that post. Good. It's some of the best storytelling the forums have ever produced. Yeah. It's really fucking funny. I'll have to find it and post it.
It's one of those where you almost have given it away a bit, but it's like a slow burn where like it just gets more and more absurd as it adds on. It's great.
Yeah, it's just like this total sociopath that is like trying to protect his like really high value games at the cost of the family when he could have like easily stopped the fire too, but he's like strategically optimizing to get it's good.
I don't know. It's tough for me because like there is a world, maybe we come back to this, where I picture like the 5 games that I think I could most easily get people in a Fallout vault to play with me.
Yeah, that's a different scenario.
That's a very different list. But this, like you said, this is like the list of games where it's like I have infinite time to subject people to my machinations. And I'm bringing fucking Leav. Someone's going to play it with me. You
can also play it solo.
Exactly. And that's the other aspect of this. So, it works well at 2. It works well at 3. It works well at 1. So it's relatively versatile for being a long-ass game that could kill a lot of your time, right? So, like, you're done harvesting coconuts on the desert island for the day. Leav is my definition of unwinding in a cozy atmosphere.
My next game is the alternate timeline where Tom was killed relatively early. This is PAX Pamir. I figured that I should put a big game on here. The other ones have been relatively small. I think PAX Pamir is the one that currently intrigues me the most. I think it's one that it's not only heavy, but it also, I feel like, has enough texture to it that I want to keep pushing on it. I don't feel like I've explored this game fully, and I feel like it's going to be a long time before I do so. And I do think it's a game that gets better with more and more plays. It also happens to have a solo mode. I don't think it's the best solo mode, but it's functional. And, I was saying, I don't have a solo mode. I guess this one does have a solo mode. So, yeah, this is the one we want to play when we're really like, today's been a really chill day in the apocalypse. I think we need to stress ourselves out a little bit, Right.
Plus, you'll have that little piece of history with it. It comes with like a nice explanation of something that happened before the Great Armageddon.
Exactly.
So number 5, this one's an interesting pick because this one I envisioned a scenario where like my partner survived with me, right? And we were stuck on the island. I was like, well, what game is she going to want to play with me most? And that's Scout.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Sky Team to really, hit the land, like make the landing.
Hit the landing? Yeah, to make the landing, Kenny? Yeah. Stick the landing with Sky Team?
She really loves Scout, huh?
Well, yeah, I think so. But what's really funny is like, as I'm looking at this list, I'm almost wondering if it should have been The Gang. Because we've been playing The Gang a lot with our oldest daughter. But that's a new game, so I can't talk about it. So Scout is the game that we would end up picking. And Helena likes this game a lot, and I'm still really enjoying playing it. I mean,
Scout's great. I considered Scout for my Cat in the Box slot as well.
Oh, so you can grab, this is strategic now. So you can grab Cat in the Box, and I'll grab Scout, and we'll see each other at the commune. Except I'm apparently going to get lost in the woods and be by myself for at least a
while. For the first month, before the Reavers find you and you got to like relocate.
Yeah, exactly. And then I get to the commune, and then I get to be Jeff the Killer.
My final slot is a wild slot. Not wild as in crazy, but like just like I decided to not have a category for this one. It's like, what game would you be sad to not bring if you had the other 5? And I picked Matai and I. It's a game that I don't think really fits into these categories. I don't really think it fits into filler or dual territory necessarily, but it's a game that I'd be really sad if I didn't have. For a deck of only like 52 cards, I feel like there is so much to be cracked open, and it's a game that I continue to be wowed by. And so even if it stops being novel, I feel like there's enough there that it's just like comfort food. Kind of the way you feel about Daybreak. Like, I don't see myself ever being like, this game is annoying or this game is boring. Because it's just like, there's just fun things that happen in this game. And at the end of the day, why do we play games if not to have fun?
To win.
I don't think to win. I don't think it's everyone's game, but it is my game. Matai and I.
It's interesting because you didn't say Race for the Galaxy anywhere on your list.
I think Matai and I and Race for the Galaxy are competing for a slot. And as it stands, like race stock is going up, but Matai and I would still win in that slot right now. I think it'd be weird to bring Matai and I and Race. And I think currently I'd rather bring Matai and I. But check back in with me after like another 10 plays of Race. We'll see where we're at.
Okay. Can you imagine like tomorrow, like wake up, it's like, and you're just like, fuck this, I'm out of here. You don't even take like any of your games. Like you just start going,
No, we're committed. What if I was like 5 games I would bring? Gloomhaven, Etherfields, the big box of Quacks of Quedlinburg, like just like the heaviest, largest boxes that we could bring.
Yeah, you're like, what is this? MREs? We don't need them. Like you're like throw them out of the car. It's like
I put my gamer bag on my shoulders.
You're like strapping like a box of like Ogre Deluxe Edition to the roof of your car.
Only the essentials.
Should that be like next week's topic? The biggest games we know?
What do we talk about? Oh, that box is so big.
This game's coming in at 20 pounds, 9 ounces.
Whoa! That game's
over
bigger than my
yards
child.
Of character sheets. Yeah.
I mean, it's a topic. I don't know if I want to, like... I don't know that I want to do it next week.
No.
Hey, you tell us, listener, do you want to hear us talk about the biggest games we know?
Just for the sake of posterity, to go over the list one more time, I'm bringing, in my Doomsday scenario, Android Netrunner, Brass Lancashire, Daybreak, Leav, and Scout.
Okay. I'm bringing Monikers, Cat in the Box, Jaipur, Pax Pamir, and Motai and I.
There you go. That's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much to everyone for listening. Thank you especially to Michael, Tyler, Devon, and Josh of the Boise RainBeaus for your awesome segue music. And thank you to Bonehouse for letting us use your song Raw as our opening theme.
If you're liking the cast, share it with a friend or on Reddit or on BGG. You can also reach out directly at shelfstablecast@gmail.com. All of this and more available in the show notes. Hey, if you like what you're doing, if you like what we're doing and want to make more of it happen, consider subscribing to us on Patreon. You'll get access to bonus content like Tom's OnlyFan. Decide on next topic. Tom?
Kenny, next week I think we're going to be talking about what is toy factor? What does that even mean? Aren't all board games toys? Isn't this just children's entertainment that we're taking too seriously?
Amabel Holland would like a word with you.
We'll get into it next week. Join us then.
Thanks. Bye.